Utah Capitol Journal 2012, brought to you by Comcast and the Utah Cable Television Association.
Comcast Cares Day was a huge success. Comcast would like to thank the more than 3,100 employees, families, and community volunteers who gave of their time to enhance 11 elementary schools, city parks, and other organizations across the Wasatch Front to help kids and community members power their dreams. With your support, we made a lasting difference for thousands of students and community members in need. Thank you, and special thanks to our partner, KFC, for providing lunch.
Comcast Cares!
Hello, I'm Dale Zabriskie. Welcome to Capitol Journal, appearing 24 minutes after each hour on CNN Headline News and on Comcast On Demand throughout the legislative session. Our guest for this segment is Representative Brian King. Representative King, thank you for being with us. Hot issue in the state is always public lands and our interaction with the federal government. Tell us what you're thinking in this area.
Well, it's a tough issue because we do have such a high percentage of our state lands that are owned by the federal government. And one of the things that we struggle with is funding for public education. One of the things that I've heard from some of my colleagues is that they believe that the best way for funding public education and higher education in the state of Utah is to take some of the federal lands that we've got and then use them, develop them, purchase them, take them from the federal government in a way that will generate income for the state of Utah. The concern that I have about that is that we've underfunded public and higher education in the state of Utah, in my opinion, for the last 15 or 20 years extensively and consistently. And the fact that we've also at the same time had extensive holdings of public lands isn't the reason for our underfunding of public education. In fact, the percentage of public lands that are held by the federal government in the state of Utah is very comparable to many, many other western states. And they fund public and higher education at a much higher level. So I don't think that the idea that we can take these federal lands is something that's going to solve our problems with public and higher education funding. Even if you went the route that some of my colleagues want to go in the direction of and somehow take these federal lands back, that's a long-term project. I mean, we're not going to get those federal lands in the way that my friends across the other side of the aisle anticipate and desire for at least another 10 or 15 years, simply because it will have to come from the Supreme Court. Congress is never going to sign off on this. This is going to have to go through an extensive court review and challenge. And that's going to take a lot of money. And in the meantime, what are we going to do about the kids that are coming up through our public ed system? That's my concern and that's my problem. Add to that our Legislative General Counsel has indicated to us consistently on all these bills that they're highly likely to be found to be unconstitutional. And I really question whether this is a wise use of resources and money and energy for the state of Utah and for our legislature. Here are some other things that we could be doing that I think would be more productive. When you look at the Tax Foundation figures, the Tax Foundation says that the burden of state and local taxes on the average Utah citizen is right in the middle of the pack in terms of where we're at nationally, and has fallen significantly over the last 10 or 15 years. Now, I'm not a great proponent for more taxes, but I am saying when you've got the kind of problems that we've got with funding public and higher education in this state, we need to, if we want to have larger families, we need to step up to the plate and take responsibility for funding what comes with those larger families, and that is a higher quality public and higher education system. We also can do a lot more with our public lands instead of just developing them for mining or oil or gas or grazing. We can do a lot more in terms of bringing revenue to the state by using those public lands in the way that we really have unique access to, and that is we've got lands that other states in this country would die to have in terms of value and potential for tourist attractions. There are things that we can do to increase the revenue that comes into the state of Utah, which already amounts to 10, 15, 20 billion dollars. We can increase that amount substantially.
Thank you for being with us and expressing your views on that issue.
Thank you, Dale.
Thanks for being with us. Please join us again for Capitol Journal, appearing 24 minutes after each hour on CNN Headline News and on Comcast On Demand throughout the legislative session. You can also find us on Facebook.